Another Disney live action remake that neither Jovi or I really wanted to see, but we knew we had to keep up appearances. So I was one who had to see it. I went with my family earlier today. Now, this one has finished filming for, I want to say, at least 3 years. It's been a while that this movie has been coming out. And it has had a lot of controversy in that time, mostly because of the people in it. Some of which, at least logically, I get, but most of it, no. But I'll talk about that later. But how is it as a movie? It ain't great. But I am shocked at how much of this film I actually did enjoy. I really do try to find like an angle where the glare isn't too bad on my glasses. I've been thinking about just taking them off, but like I legit can't see. So sorry about that. Anyway, thanks for watching. Welcome back to Small Couch Reviews. It's your boy Sam talking Snow White. Okay, so TLDR, where does this movie rank among the live action Disney movies? Well, let me give you my perspective on these Disney movies. I generally think they shouldn't exist. I just don't think any of them really justify their own existences. Like all of these animated movies, the remastered versions, hold up today. And the way it's animated still holds up today. So these live action remakes are just never going to be as good. So why do they exist? That's my opinion, me. And I know I probably sound like an old man, but that's how I think. So having said that, I do believe that Cinderella and the Jungle Book are actually quality remakes. I actually enjoyed both of those. But those are the only two. All the other ones, the Aladdin, the Beauty and the Beast, the Lion King, the Little Mermaid. I mean, even if they had parts where I was like, okay, that's nice, none of them are as good as the originals. Like they don't justify their own existences. So I'm like, well, why do you exist? Now, I actually hated, and I mean hated, Mulan and Pinocchio. Both of those are TOA. Trash on arrival. Now, this live action Snow White, I'm actually surprised to say that I think it falls in between those first two categories. I don't think it's good. Like I think Cinderella and Jungle Book are good, but and I mean it doesn't really justify its own existence. But I like the songs for one, and I actually do like the idea of what they were trying with this movie. I just think the execution of it fell flat. Yeah, man, I went on a roller coaster of like emotions with this movie. So like I went in like just not wanting to see this. I was dead. I knew I was gonna hate it. Then as the first half hour went on, I was like, huh, I'm I'm kind of liking this. Then you get close, the end of the first act, going into the second act, and I'm still like, huh, okay, this is still pretty good. Then, the second act into the third act, I'm starting to think like, okay, what am I watching? So the original movie, I actually did go back and watch it, which that was rough. There is a lot in that movie. I mean, it's almost 90 years ago now. So there's a lot of that movie where, the animation is just quite like there's just not a lot happening in the movie plot wise, right? So you know that when they remake it, they can't just do a shot for that like they would like The Lion or like they did like The Lion King, right? So you knew there was going to be extra stuff added. And the extra stuff is where I say the execution failed, even though I liked the idea. So Rachel Zegler, she made or Ziegler. I really got to figure out what her last name is. But the main star, she made some comments that got some backlash a little while ago. Again, I'll talk about that at the end. But really, what she said something along the lines of how this movie was going to be different and change the way Snow White was because she was going to be more empowered. And yeah, she is more empowered as she wants to actually, defeat the evil queen in this movie. And, she does have a little bit more interaction with Prince Charming. Or rather, I should say the audience has a little bit more interaction with Prince Charming. But that's the first thing. Like the movie tries to make him an actual character. And you know what they do? So he's an actual character in this. Like, we learn a little bit about why he's doing what he's doing, who he is. He has a little bit of a background. And he's obviously in a lot more scenes. But every single thing about his character, it's not an arc, it's like a dot. Everything about him, it could be, I think it actually was told in about 1 minute's worth of dialogue. It doesn't go deep at all. But I feel the movie spent a lot of time with him trying to make him feel deep. But in the end, it's not. And he still just ends up being this dude she barely knows who saves her with true love's kiss. Spoiler alert. Rachel Zegler was an okay Snow White. She was fine. I really don't care that she was not a Caucasian woman. That means nothing to me. But while I did like some things she did, which I'll get to later, her actual portrayal just it wasn't a standout. It was meh to me. The evil queen, Gal Gadot, the other star of this movie, she actually bothered me a lot more. Now, and the thing that bothered me about her was, I guess, the tone that was set. She's very, very campy in this movie. Everything from the way she acts to the way she threatens to the way she sings her songs are so campy. And that in itself is not bad to me. But the thing is, the world that they're in, like everyone in this world seems to see her like as this terrifying evil, right? Like she's Voldemort. But we as the audience, as she's portrayed to us, we see her more like Gargamel. So it's just strange that, it seems like she has this reputation for being this super, super evil, scary person. But every time we see her, she's almost silly in her evilness. So that kind of bothered me. I've heard people say there are a lot of slow parts, and yeah, there are slow parts, but I mean there are slow parts in the original too. So if you didn't like the original Snow White, you're not gonna like this. So I'm not gonna blame that on this movie. What I will blame on this movie, there's something that happens in the third act that was very Deus Ex Machina, if you will. Like it just something came out of nowhere that it literally made no sense. I'll give you an example. Let's say at the climax of a movie, our main character has to climb up 20 flights of stairs. And one of the things in this movie we've seen is that for the entire runtime, he can't bend his legs. It hurts him so much to bend his legs, right? So he can't really so doing this is like a major challenge. And then at the end, he's like, oh, well, I have to do it to reach my goal. And then he just walks up the stairs. Like it's like, wait a minute. There was no development, no lead up to this. What the solution is, all of a sudden, you can just do it. Like, that's crazy to me. If something like that happens in this movie where I'm just like, okay, all right, fine, whatever. But the biggest sin this movie commits that I think you'll hear about involves these people. So when this movie was first announced, we saw this picture of these guys, and everyone thought they were the Seven Dwarves, right? And then the trailer came out, and we saw the Seven Dwarves were actually CGI. So people were like, "Oh, they listened to us. They fixed it and added in the dwarves." No, these people are still in the movie, and they're a group of bandits, and they show up, and that's the point when I'm like, okay, what am I watching? Because the movie changes drastically then, and not for the better. I honestly don't know why they are in this movie. Like there's a point, like let's say one of the bandits' name is May. There's a point where one of them says, or Snow White says, "Hey, you and May are looking pretty good." And I remember I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, am I supposed to know who May is? Am I supposed to know why her relationship with this person is significant? They're the definition of extra just to be extra, and they don't do anything. They're not funny, they're not charming, they're not cool, they're just there. And I didn't like them. I don't think anyone will like them. And they were not a welcome addition to this film. I don't know why they were added. Okay, so slow story, bad additions. The bandits sucked, and Gal Gadot her tones shifted a little too much for me. I'm done ragging on this movie. Let's actually talk about what I liked. So the soundtrack to this movie was developed by the guys behind The Greatest Showman, which is fire, and Dear Evan Hansen, a stage play that I love. So it's no surprise that when this movie was starting, I was kind of nodding my head. Like the melodies and the lyrics and everything I thought were great. And let me say, yeah, Rachel Zegler. I actually didn't see West Side Story. My only exposure to her has been in the flat. Was she? No, Shazam 2, not The Flash. My only exposure to her was that. That's it. That's the only movie I've ever seen her in. So I wasn't aware how well she can sing, and that girl can sing. Though these songs were great. I loved them. Even the Queen, like she's campy, and her song was campy, and I loved it. The choreography, at least a little to be desired, especially after seeing something like Wicked. But the actual songs and the people who sung them, I loved. Not everything they added was bad. There's a pretty nice little prologue involving Snow White and her parents, and I really, really dug that. And they showed her childhood and why she is, such a nice person and what she wants to and what she has seen her kingdom can be and why she wants to restore that. I really dug that. The dwarves. People are ragging on the dwarves because they were CG, and yeah, they didn't. I mean, they didn't look great, but I actually really liked them. I think Dopey, Dopey is a standout in this movie. If there's a third star after Snow White and the Queen, it's him. Forget Prince Charming. Dopey was my man. And yeah, man, seriously, before the last, let's say, 35 minutes of this movie, I actually was ready to say, yo, this movie. I mean, so I still don't think it's as bad as people say it is, but I was really ready to come on here and say, yo, like this movie, like it might actually, be worth you watching. I'm not gonna say that now because again, it fell flat. It really nosedived in the end for me. But the first half of this movie, even I'd say the first 65%, I was really digging it, man. I was sitting up. I was like, wow, okay, I'm really liking the story they're telling. I'm liking the world they're building. I'm liking Snow White as a character, and I'm liking the evil queen as a character in this movie. But yeah, that deviation that they take in this film where Snow White kind of rises up as a revolutionary, yeah, that wasn't working for me. I'm sorry. So the last thing I want to talk about is the controversy that surrounded this movie, just because I find it quite interesting. But I'll make it quick. I really want to just focus on Rachel Zegler, her comments. So, I was Googling what she had said because I wanted to remember what had stirred all this controversy that was surrounding this movie, specifically with her. And so I looked up the interview, and yeah, she had some things to say about this movie in comparison to the original one. While I personally don't think she at all meant to cause any kind of harm, I at least logically I can see why some people have an issue with some of the stuff she said. But what really caught my eye when I Googled her was this girl is 23 years old, all of 23. And this interview was years ago, meaning she was barely able to purchase alcohol when she said it. So what I really wanted to say was like there's a lot of hatred flowing her, like a lot of hatred being flung her way. I think we need to just show the young lady some grace. And that's it. That's really all I wanted to say here. But yeah, you know what? So Snow White, I actually think this one was a little bit above mid. Would I watch it again? I might watch it again with, if I had like my nieces or nephews or something. I would not watch this again of my own free will. It's not that great. But I do think it's better than other remakes that have come out. So your small couch review score is going to be a 3.75. Thanks so much for sticking with me and listening to me rant. I appreciate it. Until next time, I'm out.